Welcome, LifeMaven podcast. Our guest is Duana Boswell Loechel, attorney at law. She helps with people just go through that maze of legal problems, everything from divorce, elder care, you name it. Now, we were just talking before camera, and Duana, would you like to share what you were talking about?
Yeah, we were talking about the fact that growing up, I was groomed and sexually assaulted, and that's part of what I'm passionate about, helping others that have gone through a similar situation of um, even though that you have experienced sexual assault, domestic violence, anything like that, it is something that makes you who you are today, but it doesn't define who you are. And I think getting from that position and that mindset of you're handicapped by what's happened to you into a survivor and warrior mentality of helping to fight against and help other people come out of the victim mentality is very important for me.
How do you help them get out of that victim mentality? What do you do?
A lot of it is giving them a voice, especially if they're going through a divorce. Um, they are used to bowing down to their abuser if they're in a relationship with them for a long period of time and just giving in to them whatever they want. And I come in and I will stand in as their backbone if I need to help them not give away everything or help them see that light on the other side of the divorce render and what it's going to be like. And you know, a lot of them want to hold on to the house or something in the divorce or the marriage that's really not going to be healthy for them moving forward. They've been assaulted in this house. That may not be a good place for their mindset to stay living there. Plus, the abuser is going to always know where they are. A lot of times, that mortgage is in the abuser's name, and you know, the other isn't on any of the paperwork. If the house gets awarded to the victim of the abuse and it's the mortgage is in the other spouse's name, then they always have that control because we can't force the mortgage to get changed into the other's name. So just helping them realize, what the other side of that divorce decree looks like and that there are better times ahead and it's not going to be the you know, end of their lives. Things will get better and they'll get into a position where they are way stronger for what they went through.
We were also talking about, you were talking about specifically victims of abuse and trafficking. And I had mentioned to you that I had been molested. And at the time, I was in my 20s. And I was so embarrassed. Now, this is, of course, about 40 some odd years ago. So it was a very different atmosphere. And I don't think the knowledge was out there either. But I felt so embarrassed that I didn't say anything for 15 years at all.
Yeah, it's not uncommon. I know I probably went longer than 15 years before I said something. And it's the society that, we kind of are brought up in, and I don't know that it's necessarily changed a whole lot. Um, I think Me Too movement has brought a lot of attention to this topic. But I can remember being told, "Hey, if you wear a short skirt, you're asking for it. The way you dress, you're inviting this." Well, no, nothing that we do should ever give that mentality of it's okay for you to violate us. It's okay for you to put your hands on us when we don't want it. Um, but we should be able to express ourselves and our individuality. If we want to do that through how we dress, we should be able to do that. And I think this being raised in that, kind of generation that we were raised in, of, you don't say anything, or if you did, people didn't believe you. Um, we do keep it quiet. especially if you were going through a grooming process, they groom you into not saying anything, because you'd be betraying them. And that's, if you love them, you'll do this, this, and this. And it's hard to know that mentality if you haven't lived through it. But it's, we have a lot of victim shaming going on, not believing people when they say this has happened to them. And I think it's really important for us to really listen and give support. The downside to kind of the attention that Me Too movement has brought on is, I think that because there was so much attention given to that and support, that we also have some reports that were made up. And each time that somebody makes an outcry of sexual assault that didn't happen, it dilutes that for the ones that it does. So I think as, just as individuals and humans, don't make up an allegation of abuse, because then it's going to make the one that it actually happened to that much harder for them to come forward, and that much harder for them to prove that this happened and to stop it. Because if somebody has abused one person, they'll do it over and over and over, typically.
Well said. And I was looking through my journals, which I really don't keep a whole lot of. And this one was from I believe it was 1976, something, maybe it's even 90, one of the, I can't remember, maybe 76. But I remember writing down what had happened to me and looking at myself, and I wrote down, that was dumb.
Mm-hmm. And we do tend to blame ourselves. Why did we put ourselves in that position? Why wasn't I smarter? Why didn't I stop it? Why didn't I do these? Well, we can't do that to ourselves. We didn't make that person do those acts. Nothing that we did, short of an invitation or a consent, should ever allow somebody to put their hands on you in a manner that you don't want. Coercion is another form of sexual assault, of them just keeping at you and keeping at you and keeping at you until you're just like, okay, fine, whatever. But you don't really want to engage in the act. That's another form of sexual assault that's out there that I don't think a lot of people realize, that no means no. And it's not no, and then they keep on, keep on, keep on, keep on, keep on, keep on, and then, okay, fine. That still is not a yes. So just knowing that you have the right to those boundaries, and nobody should ever cross them.
And I also, and in addition to that, because when I look back on that, it wasn't like I was pushing a corner. It wasn't nagging. It wasn't. At the same time, when I look back on it, they're both people positions of quote unquote authority. Mm-hmm. And I was raised to always respect authority. And if they say something, well, they must know they're older, they have authority, they're in this position. And I think that's probably why I did not really, that I thought I was the dumb one, because they're in a position of authority. So I could reverse. Of course, again, this is before all the things that we know today. And I think people, especially in any perceived position of authority, it could be a museum guard, it could be, a therapist, but it doesn't have to be just, grandpa or, somebody, just whatever. And I think that they have a obligation not to breach an implied trust.
They do. And even in contracts, if you have somebody that has more authority than somebody else, that's a reason to get out of a contract. So
wow,
that should be the same kind of thing that should be applied to everything. It's still a form of coercion, because you are not necessarily free to give free consent if you have this person in authority kind of lording it over you. So it's still a form of coercion that is meaning that you're not giving that consent freely and openly.
Thanks. Thank you very much. And thank you for sharing on this rather sensitive topic.
Sure, anytime.
Thanks. Thank you so much, Duana.